These are some things that I understand about SPS, which is a Smalls Planetary System. First of all, think of the Earth as we have for the past probably 50 years. Is we think of a lot of large things. It's kind of common, because we're post skyscraper era. It wasn't like that before the 60s, and we're post freeway systems. And it wasn't like that in the 50s. It was like boulevards and wider streets with like factories on both sides and stores. Those roads still exist in all of our cities, those super wide roads that are from the 50s. That was before we had all of these freeway systems that are kind of on the outskirts of the city, And downtown, it's all these amazing tiered structures. We're post all of that. We're after all of that. But there's people alive, like in their 70s, that remember all of that stuff. They remember when there wasn't skyscrapers. They remember that went up in like the 1960s real fast. They remember the boulevards and not the freeway systems, and it was, well, really nice classic cars in the 50s. But that wasn't the tiered freeway systems yet. There was highways, and it's still dualistic as, I'm just north of Chicago. There's a highway called 41, Highway 41. It's not really like the real fast freeway systems. It's different, and it goes along Chicago area, goes around, and then it's not the real fast freeway systems. It's kind of more on ground, And then you can take off into the tierings of the Chicago freeway system, which are many. It's like traveling across bridges for 2 hours straight, And I was a driver in Chicago recently, a truck driver. So, I just took the freeway systems, and it was like I said, like driving on bridges all over the city. And then you descend off these bridges, and then, you do your delivery in the city with your truck. But Highway 41 has no ascension, like bridges or descensions. It's just a flat road, and it goes along the Great Lakes, and then it kind of, it still keeps going all the way through Indiana, Kentucky. It goes all the way down to the south tip of Florida, and it's still there. It's Highway 41. It's like one of the nation's longest highways, as far as north and south goes. And it was built in the 50s when they had all these classic cars. And, I know people that are alive right now that told me that they went from Chicago down to Florida on vacation, and they took Highway 41 with their classic car in the 1950s. But this is not like the super fast highways and the newer, wider highways with the big, ditches in between, and it's like 3 lanes on the right, and then their cars are coming the other way, and there's a ditch in the middle. 3 lanes. That's a massive, big, wide freeway. That's far post 1950s. Highway 41 is just, it's just a road that has 1 lane going south and 1 lane going north. But both still exist. You can still travel on Highway 41 and the freeway system. So what I'm saying is we are post slightly smaller era, and SPS is discussing planetary smalls systems and items that can help us as a system of, literally hundreds of millions of people trying to make this small system benefit everyone. It's allocations of money that kind of spread out in between the big cities, and we study it, and we say, wow, this could be done better. The money could be done this way, or technology could be made to help this, like towns, highways, things like that. Stores that you stop on on the way, through between big cities for sometimes hundreds of miles. Well, the reason I'm telling you about the highway system that's from the 50s and the boulevards and Highway 41 and stuff from Chicago to Florida, and then the mega powerful wide freeway systems with the ditches in the middle, and then the tiered freeway systems like through Chicago. The reason I'm telling you about both of them is we're post both of them. So we don't even think about either one. We just know it kind of exists, and we know there's like smaller highways, and then there's bigger, wider highways, and then there's there's city streets, and then there's the tiered freeway systems. But we're like the third level, which is it's something else. We're just post all these big things, and we're not impressed by skyscrapers. We don't notice it. We don't notice that there's a lot of shorter buildings that were built pre-1950, and the skyscrapers were built post-1950. Both buildings are up. It's like two worlds together. All throughout the United States, it's probably in Europe also. Even in China, because they had tall brick buildings, years and years ago, and then, they had steel girder skyscrapers, which is the big bertha systems, And then we have, cargo ships that are just massive nowadays. And the ships years ago were not as big. So, we even have, like, semi-trucks. That wasn't always in our system. Like, pre-1950, I don't know if they had the big semi-truck yet. And, they didn't have the big freeway system either. And you can't really do as much without the big semi-truck with the 48 to 53-foot trailer. Those things came over time. Big trucks, big buildings, big ships, bigger and bigger bridges, because of the steel girder. It's in each of them. Even the semi-truck has like steel girders for the frame and stuff. And, it's not brick buildings anymore. It's not smalls. Well, we're far post both of those things. We've had the large systems in Earth for, it's got to be at least over 65 years. That's a long time. So we don't see the difference between, like, the mega systems of Earth that help us, like, just giant cargo ships, the trains, the railroad systems are big systems. We don't really see that as a distinction between that, and then there's, like, small systems. But what we're noticing is that there's, like, ultra smalls that are coming in, like these really tiny electric cars, or these little scooters are greater in numbers, and we see, it's there, it's kind of part of it, but not much. So what do we need a small system for? What can we make in smalls? Why am I putting this on the web? I mean, am I wasting your time? I mean, I'm doing these narration tapes to tell you about a planetary smalls system. Well, I don't have it all for Earth yet. I have it for Mars, though. I've been in the planetary smalls system of Mars for 10 years, where I can have astronauts all around the sphere of Mars by using smaller spaces, smaller vehicles, and, amazing innovations in electric power and stuff like that. It works in Mars. It works in space. It works on the moon. The Apollo missions were pretty small technologies. Kind of mobile technologies. A spacesuit walking around on the moon is pretty amazing, especially, for early 1970s. Totally amazing for back then. these are small technologies that kind of happen in space, and the satellites are getting smaller. Satellites were kind of small to begin with. The ISS is, well, it's like a spaceship, but it's not really too big. I guess we use the space shuttles to bring up pretty big capsules to make the space station. It's kind of an engineering marvel. We need to appreciate the ISS. But I would say it's still the use of a lot of small things. It's cramped spaces. It's small, concentrated technologies. Small little bays where they do experiments, like they'll grow a tomato plant. But they're not growing, a whole farm up there. It's not like a Space Wheel and Space Odyssey, that film, and they had, an entire farm in there. It's smallest technologies in space. It's so we can gain results from small things that are substantial. But we have not yet tested, like a space farm yet. We just don't have the large spaces framed and created in space. We don't have that yet. So that's only one perspective, though. We don't have that yet, or it's too expensive. But I would say a great perspective of the Planetary Smalls System is we have the ISS. And we have the tomato plant grown in the ISS. That's an achievement in weightless space. We have it, and it's actually the best way to do it. It's not a budget constraint, and we're just kind of like stressed out, and we can't build a Space Odyssey space farm, so there's something wrong. It's not something wrong. It's a perception of smalls where that is sufficient. And it's actually, the best way to do it. So we pull all this stuff down to Earth and we say, wow, we could make a planetary small system in Earth, and it's smaller things and its use of, smaller technologies, less numbers of people to achieve something. Isn't that interesting? Like, we think it's, 50 people or 100 people to get the job done. Well, that will take 200 workers, and we'll have a substantial, performance rate, and we'll finish this quickly. But in the planetary small system, we might say, well, let's use 6 people and maximize the performance and the use of smaller technologies, and we do an amazing level of performance from a smaller unit and a smaller group of people. And in the end, we find it's like the tomato plant on the ISS. We say, it's not that we're a budget constraint. It's not that we just are frustrated because we don't have the Space Odyssey wheel with this big indoor space farm. It's not the frustration. It's perfect the way it is. And it's, the best way to do it. So, do you see that SPS could be like an engineering marvel of smalls? Do you see that? I see it. Well, it took 4 people to do this, and we had these smallest technology, and look how much we accomplished. Because we put some thought into this, intelligence, into arrangements of amazing small systems. And we caused this great result with 4 people. It's perfect. It's the one that should be done. So from now on, we're just going to do 4 people to do this particular achievement, and we'll replicate it all around the Earth. And it only takes 4 people to do it, and the equipment costs are low, probably less than $1,000, and you can keep achieving this particular unit of SPS achievements, So don't do 6 people, don't do 8 people, do it with 4 people, because we have it tested. It's like the ISS and the tomato plant. It's perfect. It's what should be done, and it's the best one. So, what I wanted to clarify in this tape, though, is in order for us to have these units and these high performances from, less material, less numbers of people, and we call it Planetary Smalls System, or SPS, which is the system of planetary smalls. We start to create hundreds of these units, thousands, and it's high performance, high output, well, sometimes low budget, sometimes low numbers of people, sometimes smaller vehicles, everything. We didn't use a semi-truck, we didn't use a cube van, we didn't use a big four-wheel drive truck. We used like a Volvo station wagon, and well, we filled it up with, boxes or something, but it wasn't real heavy boxes to tow way down this little station wagon. It's kind of like thought of and thought about the Volvo itself. Well, maybe we had extra air shocks added in the back, and we can like add air, and it would create a stronger rear suspension if we need to add weight to these boxes. But that's all we did. It was just small things like the air shocks. Well, they cost $100. That's all. We didn't do anything else. And the Volvo station wagon can store heavier boxes to transport them. Maybe a little bit better tires on the back, and we didn't spend a lot of money. Just a few $100s to create the system. And the Volvo station wagon it's fairly small, and we did some type of a unit, a project, a performance and achievement in SPS with the Volvo station wagon, which gets a lot better gas mileage than the four-wheel drive truck or the cube van or the semi-truck. We had an arrangement with the boxes that we stacked in there, and the content of the boxes was a small system. We transported this system and all of its pieces to some location. Maybe we assembled something. We assembled something from what was inside these boxes, or we operated something. I understand this completely. It's maximum use of smaller spaces and lesser people. And it works for, emergency, like rescue. Like in your budget, in your business, you have all this money and then you come up short. But you have to get something done so that this other thing can be done. We do it amazingly with just a few people, like 3 people. I've done it. I worked for a multimillionaire, and we just had 3 guys. And we were working, he owned a manufacturing of a food manufacturing. We worked on the assembly lines there. And he said, shut down the machines today. We met the orders for the food manufacturing, but you guys have to go mow some lawns, and you have to change some light bulbs in a skyscraper. So we're going to 3 different properties, traveling very quickly with 3 guys. We're weed eating, we're mowing the lawns. I end up at a skyscraper and I'm changing light bulbs, on like 19 floors. We're doing these things very quickly. Then he calls us on the radio and he says, okay, all 3 of you go to this floor, and we're going to do a demolition because these people moved out of this skyscraper floor. We're going to do a demolition because they're coming in with $1 million, well, actually I think that one was $3 million, exotic wood remake of this entire skyscraper floor. The construction that they do is going to last like 2 months. It's going to be a beautiful new renovation. It costs $3 million. You have to do demolition of all the drywall and the aluminum frames. So we're in there demolitioning this place, and it only takes like 1 day. And it's the 3 guys. It worked really well for the multiple properties with a skyscraper. And we're going all over the city to these different properties doing all these different functions. It was so efficient that I think we did the work of like 10 men. Like, each of those properties deserved to have 3 employees because there was enough work, to justify 10 employees easily. But we accomplished it with 3 employees. And it was kind of like, an emergency type operation, So I understand how this works completely, the SPS myself. I've actually operated in operations that are like it. It's not always the SPS. What I mean by planetary system of smalls is that it's a specialty system or an emergency system or like a rescue system or well, another thing is you can operate a small system. It kind of has uh, similar benefits to an expensive system. Those are the ones we want to find in the future. Those are the ones we covet. We're actually working, a thinner system, I guess, that's achieving enough for us. Kind of like a big system, kind of like it. That could involve, there's a gas station, in the rurals, on a highway. It's kind of an older building. And you can step inside and you can buy, Twinkies and bread and stuff, and there's a few aisles of products inside. But this place is kind of small. So the SPS system, though, is thought of by the owner of this gas station. He says, well, I think I want to make more sales of these products. This store is kind of small. It was built like in 1940 or something, back when the classic cars were going. I like to move out some pretty good profit ticket items here. So he decides to buy or rent a canvas tent, and it's a white canvas tent. It's like a nylon canvas. He puts up a tent next to his gas station, and it's closed on the top, and it's rainproof, and it's closed on the sides, and you can kind of roll up the canvas, and in the summertime you can see inside. And he puts up a sign. He says, more food products on the side of the building, fresh produce. And so he's selling, vegetables. He's selling bags of rice that are like, 20 to 40 pounds. He has this concept that the people that drive through this area might pick up on his tent, and they could buy stuff that he can sell at a good profit, but it's like overall similar price as a grocery store. So he's making money and he's helping them, because the nearest grocery store in the rurals is probably, unfortunately, sometimes it's like a half an hour away or more. And you have to shop kind of infrequently, like, every 3 weeks instead of, I live in a metro, I can shop every day. I can walk to a grocery store. So he figures out, like, bulk foods, dried foods, and some vegetables and other things too. He can sell all kinds of things in that tent. And, it's kind of waterproof in there too, And it makes the gas station look twice as big. And he has a piece of land next to it. So these people check it out. He recommends it at the counter. He says, you should check out my tent. I have bulk foods. If you buy, let's say you buy 20 pounds of rice from me, it's real cheap, It's like the price of, a 5-pound bag of rice in the store, buying 5 pounds at the grocery store. But you have to just buy more from me, 20 pounds of rice. But it's the same price at the grocery store per pound. And you buy 20 pounds of rice from me, and you don't have to go 40 miles to the grocery store. So these people, they grab the 20-pound rice bags. They grab 2 or 3, and, they have little tickets on the side, and they grab these tickets, or they carry these bags, or he carries the bags inside of the gas station, because he's renovated the gas station to have like on the side of the gas station, it's like a little bit of a small garage door where he lifts it up and it goes right into this tent. So now he can at the counter recommend it. He says, just walk through the garage door there and go out in the tent and check out my grocery prices. It's fantastic. You don't even have to travel to a grocery store. So, I mean, they have a cart or something, and they wheel up just a slightly little bulkier items, like it's 20 pounds of rice instead of 5, to get the price per pound as the same as the grocery store. And they say this is reasonable. You know, it's a handshake with this guy. He's able to make a little bit of money, and they're getting a product at a good price, and they're buying 20-pound bags of rice from him right at the counter. And, well, these people go out to their cars, and they got stuff from his tent, and they dropped $100. Whereas before, they bought a couple of Twinkies and maybe like a gallon of milk and spent like $8. And then they had their gas that they purchased and they left. One after another. But now it's $50, $100, sometimes $150 because he has great products in his tent. But it's not building a new building. He didn't have a renovation of his building, and he built like a brand new building next to this old gas station. And it cost him $200,000. It didn't cost him $200,000. The tent, well, you could probably get the tent for like $3,000 or less. $2,000 if it's used, maybe $1,000. And it's just ropes, thick nylon canvas, and wood sticks. And it's like double the size of his gas station. And these people are buying and buying and buying from him. And he can leave the products sitting there, except for the produce, I guess, because he's selling like dried products and stuff. And then word of mouth goes throughout the whole county and other counties that when they pass through on this highway and they stop at his gas station, he has this tent sale next to it. And they can buy, bulk stuff and get good prices. And so everyone that's too far away from the grocery store, they just come to him from now on. And the word of mouth has him, $50, $100, $50, $100 with gas. And while this guy is making all kinds of money, but he didn't have to spend $200,000 for a new building. This is an example of the smallest planetary system. These are not skyscrapers and trains and cargo ships and semi-trucks. It's not any of that big stuff. But, and it's insignificant. A tent sale next to a gas station is insignificant. Why are you talking to me for, this whole tape? I don't care about a tent sale. But if it's done planetary, that's different. That's big. So you're over in Australia, and you're outside of Sydney, between Sydney and Melbourne, and it's along a highway, and there's no grocery stores, But you walk into this gas station and you see, Twinkies and the drinks, coolers and stuff, and you're buying, convenience store type products. You pay for your gas, and he says, check out my tent sale. It's like, it's kind of like a grocery store. And you can buy stuff from me instead of going an hour to Melbourne or something. And this is in Australia. And so they have bottled water in bulk. Well, these guys are filling up these carts he has, He has a roller cart with a rope. It's not fancy stuff. It's not a $500 cart. It's maybe a wooden cart with little wheels on the bottom, and it's a rope. He says, I apologize because this is not, 100% great, but this is just an old gas station, So I don't mind if you don't mind. So he has his wood carts, and, it's 5 cases of bottled water. It's 2 20-pound bags of rice. It's cans. Maybe it's larger cans, like, restaurant-style cans. Canned potatoes. Canned chili. Bigger cans. But that's the tent sale next to the old gas station, and we call it that in the SPS. And it's done in Melbourne. It's done in the United States, somewhere out between two cities, in a forest highway or something. And it's an old gas station. It's done in Canada, in the rurals of Canada. It's done in the rurals of Europe. They bought a tent and put it up in the summertime. They might even be able to have it in the wintertime, because the cold weather actually is a form of, food preservation storage. They walk out there, it's a little chilly, but they just put it on the wooden cart, bulk stuff, $50, $100, $75, instead of Twinkies and gasoline. And you're helping the communities in the rurals, and it's an SPS system. So tent sale next to the old gas station, well, we made that together. We decided, wow, he doesn't have to go to the grocery store, and that's an hour away. It's not going to be great like, big coolers with, selling milk and freezers that have, frozen meats and stuff. It's kind of a non-perishable sale in the tent, but, that could be cases of bottled water, cases of soda that are on sale. Buying in bulk. Dried beans, dried rice, just bags of dried stuff. Dried grains, big bags of flour. Well, I don't know how long flour lasts. It might have a shorter shelf life, but it could be in the tent sale next to the old gas station. So I don't want to go forever on this, but what I want to say in this video, I've taken 32 minutes already. My purpose at the beginning, I wanted to get to this quickly, but I wanted to also describe SPS as a planetary system where we can do this, like the same things with each other, and it's kind of fun. And we just make it great together. It's not just the tent sale on the side of the gas station, the old gas station. It's the community that knows. It's the county that knows. It's the driver down the freeway. He knows the SPS system. And he looks, he sees an old gas station. Yep, it has the tent next to it. That's a SPS unit. So he knows what's in the SPS units: non-perishables, dried stuff, bulk, waters and sodas, drinks and stuff like that. It's not really refrigerated or anything like that, or frozen. It's just non-perishable stuff. Everybody knows about it, and they kind of buy from these gas stations because they're now using the SPS tent, next to their gas station. And we know everything about it together. That's the SPS system. It's a global system. And we say, well, the SPS tent's supposed to have like an entrance into the gas station on the side. Like he's supposed to like demo the wall out and maybe put a door there, or a garage door. And then you walk in and you say, well, you have an SPS tent, it's non-perishable. Why don't you have the door yet? He says, well, I'm working on it. I'm going to buy a door and stuff. That kind of a crazy fun, so we can access his tent sale from inside. And so we can have the wooden carts. And it's the same thing all over the planet in, 150 countries. It doesn't matter, because it's the same. But what I wanted to say in this tape, though, is I've actually been speaking an SPS language. And I like languages. I want to describe this for a little while. I like languages myself. What I mean is I like realms and languages because, well, if there's a benefit to that realm, a great benefit. Like the tent sale next to the old gas station is a benefit of similar prices of the grocery store if you buy just a little bit bigger bulk and stuff. And the gas station owner can make profits, and we can have prices that we like, and it's kind of like, well, it's a niche between us and a gas station and a grocery store that's an hour away, that's bigger, and 5 pounds of rice is at that rate per pound. Here it's 20 pounds of rice at that rate per pound. He makes the profit, and we get the price if we buy bulk. If we create that niche, then we have the intelligence of the SPS system, and we have the realm, and then we have the language. And we just keep improving it. Like, I'm not sure what to call the side tent on this old gas station. Maybe we have a better name for it in the future, and we develop the language. It's a non-perishable sales of slight bulk to get similar prices, get some profits to the gas station owner. So he can justify trucks that drop off his stuff for him, but he buys it and resells it. But the whole realm and the whole language is the tent, him, the store owner, us, the customer that drives in and knows that what he has in that tent, and then the trucks that drop off all of the bulks that he sells in the tent. The prices, we might even know generally the prices together. It's the entire realm, and then it's kind of the language of SPS is what I'm looking for. That was my original intention when I started this tape. Let's talk about the language of SPS. I think it takes, we'll start walking and talking this thing after like a short time, a couple of months, and we're in SPS language. But it gets better and better and better, more refined, like over the course of, I would say, 10 years. Like I did with my Martian planetary system. I speak the language just like nothing. The outposts, the nuclear generators, the radio systems, the electric cars, the trails, everything. I talk the language of Martian. But no one's ever created a system like that. They just say it's a base there. Or it's like, well, maybe 100 bases someday, but that becomes science fiction. Because that would cost like $10 trillion. So we have to be realistic. It's outposts. It's smaller stuff. It's like in the rescued story I have posted, it's capsules, it's food drops from rockets. It's electric trucks to rescue them. It's satellites flying overhead to have the communications. This is in another planet, though. It's not like Earth where, well, those things are in abundance. There's highway systems. There's trucks everywhere. If you're abandoned in a car, well, you'd be found in the next couple hours by the sheriff. There's always somebody there on Earth. So it's different in Mars, and it's distributed smalls that's very strict. You see it more clearly in Mars. But in Earth, it's kind of like, well, it's part of it. It's like, well, it's a network. SPS is a network of smalls. It's not the big grocery store. It's the tent next to it, but it's bulks. And they're stacked on racks, 8 feet high, from the floor to the ceiling. It's concentrated. And, well, the SPS is also in my Cubbies system. Cubbies is quite amazing. It's a concentrated parts assembly system that's so small you could build an assembly manufacturing company out of your garage or your basement, because it's highly concentrated in cubbies with drawers and aisles, kind of like a library a little bit. And whatever it takes, if you have to walk in the aisle sideways, because you're conserving space and you're using space floor to ceiling and reaching down and reaching up. And the only thing different in the language of Cubbies, which is in the planetary system of smalls, it's in Mars too, in my system. Cubbies is that, well, I know where this box is and this part is, and it's part of the assembly project I'm doing, but I have to bend down It's the only difference. I have to bend down to get that one on the bottom, and then I have to reach 8 feet high. If I can't get it, I have to get a ladder. I pull the box open and get that part, and I've done, a reach down and 8 feet high. That's unusual. But we just say this, the language of SPS, with the cubbies, is we accept that we're going to move around. We're going to move low, and we're going to move high, we're going to move on ladders. And we're always going to move. And it's accepted. That's the language where it's different than other languaging. Other language would be, well, we don't have shelves down to the floor because that's too far down to bend. Or the shelf is not 8 feet up by the ceiling because we don't need to conserve that much space or concentrate things. We can just have it reasonable, 6 feet high. Because we have this big warehouse and this big factory, and we just don't need to climb ladders, But that's their language. SPS is the system of smalls. At times it's concentrated, like cubbies. Well, we could transfer the cubbies principle into the tent next to the old gas station. And we have bags of rice going up to 8 feet high. And they're down 12 inches from the floor. And there can be a ladder in there, and we all know about the ladder. Or the gas station attendant says, well, let me get the rice down for you, it's up at 8 feet. And he just pulls it out, it's a 20-pound bag, and he carries it down the ladder. It's the language of SPS. We have to move because we're ultra conservation of space, efficient use of small spaces. It's a planetary system of smalls. So that's what I want to show on this tape. I'm glad to share this with you after about 41 minutes. As there's a language in a realm because it has certain parameters. Well, it's smalls, it's concentrated, it's efficient. It's doing amazing things with less, doing great things with small spaces and small vehicles, smaller carts. Like my little wooden carts, that's part of the languaging. Well, the cart is, 3 feet long by 2 feet wide. And it has 2 wheels on the back. And then it has caster wheels on the front so it can kind of turn. And it has one rope attached to 2 points at the end of the cart. That's it. It's not a shopping cart or anything. I made that cart in my wood shop in the back. It's just a piece of plywood, and I attached 2 casters and 2 wheels, and I attached the rope. And my carts work really well. They don't look like much. I don't even paint them. It's just wood. But I can move stuff from the tent into the gas station and pay for it at the counter. I can actually use the cart to move, $50 worth of stuff. Out the front door of the gas station, I load it in my car, and then I kind of wheel this cart back to the front of the gas station, and I look, and there's like 10 carts kind of side by side, and the gas station attendant is moving. He's not standing behind the counter reading his phone. This is the nature of cubbies. This is the nature of cubbies in SPS. We move in it. It's a language type. You see what I'm saying? It's a realm. It's its language. You move. To move is healthy for you. It's good exercise. And he's grabbing 1, 2 carts. Maybe he can stack one on another, and he's pulling it through. Maybe he's pulling it through the front door, or maybe there's a door in the tent, or he rolled up the canvas, and he can roll the carts, to the side of the gas station, into the tent, and he kind of just stacks them there too, side by side. And they know about these carts, because we all know the same thing is done like every day, all throughout the whole planet. We all know about the carts. They can be made by us. You just buy 2 caster wheels and 2 roller wheels, and you mount it with screws to a piece of plywood. and you have a little rope attached to two corners. Well, these carts are stacked inside the side tent too, and there's about 10 of them maybe. Maybe not that many. Maybe he only uses 5 because there's not that many people coming into a rural gas station that's an old, small gas station. Sometimes it might be up to 5 though, because a lot of people know about this because they're all in SPS. They have the Planetary Smalls System and they know about the carts. So all the 5 carts are being filled up. Maybe they come for the bulk and they don't gas up. Maybe they do gas up and then they move their car over by the tent and park it, pay for the stuff on their cart and wheel it out either the front door of the gas station or back through the tent and through the door in the tent. And then they load their car and then they move the cart back into the canvas tent, which is like a white plastic canvas. He didn't have to buy, $500 shopping carts. These people didn't have to carry just a little bit of a bulk bags or cans or water bottles. They didn't have to carry anything. These caster carts work excellent. They roll really nice. The wheels are kind of a little bit bigger than a shopping cart. Those kind of could get stuck. These could actually wheel out onto the gravel surfaces of this old gas station to load their car outside. These caster wheels are probably like 5 inches in diameter. This is what I'm saying. I'm just keep talking this language of the Planetary Smalls System, and it's excellent. We found a niche that, not huge bulks, it's not 100 pounds of rice. And it's not 5 pounds of rice like the grocery store that's a real big store an hour away. It's 20 pounds of rice. It's so we can pay this guy at the gas station some money so we can keep this SPS system going. It's so we can get it the same price per pound as 5 pounds of rice at the store. We bought 20 pounds of rice. Price per pound the same as the big grocery stores an hour away. We create the niche. It's the same prices per pound, but you just buy a little bit more bulk. Like, you can buy water bottles at the grocery store an hour away. You can buy a 12-pack, and it's such and such price per water bottle, like $1 each, and it's $12 or something. Well, he can't get you a 12-pack of water bottles for $1 because he has to have them shipped by truck here. It ends up being like $1.30. He doesn't want that. He wants $1 per water bottle, so you have to buy 24 water bottles, which is, like plastic wrapped around 24 bottles, which is, that's a lot of water bottles, and it's actually, it's kind of heavy, actually. But you can pick it up, and you can move it onto the cart. It's not that bad. If you can't do it, the garage, guy in the back that fixes the cars, well, maybe he can move it for you, or the attendant in the front. These guys move. They're not standing around reading their phones at this little gas station. They have an SPS tent. They got to move. They're cubbies. They got to move. So he moves. There's nobody buying gas at the counter or Twinkies or a gallon of milk from inside the gas station itself. They're out in the tents, and these people, they have to load this stuff in their cars. He paid for 3 24 packs of water bottles because he's getting them for $1 a piece like the big grocery store an hour away. And we have this niche. But the gas station attendant walks in and he picks up the 24s, puts them on this plywood cart with the caster wheels, 3 of them, puts 2 side by side, 1 on top. They know about the loading of the bulks, what works and what doesn't. And he even offers to pull the cart out to the car and load it in the car. This guy's moving. And they do it fast. And he opens his trunk, and he's got 3 24 packs of water bottles in there, and he puts them in the trunk, and they close the lid. He got them for $1 a piece. So we have an SPS niche in the side tent, and we didn't have to spend $200,000 to construct a larger gas station. This tent can be there through the winter time even, because it's cold storage out there. It can be through the summertime, and it can roll up the sides, and it can be fresh air in the side tent. So, well, I made my point. I made my point that there's a language to the SPS. If we make it all the same for everybody, it's the same between Sydney and Melbourne. It's the same between, well, Chicago and some other city in Illinois. It's the same when you start to drive outside of San Francisco and go north in California. Well, you pull into an old gas station, because those gas stations have been there for like 75 years, since the 1950s. The gas station's built back in the 1950s classic cars along this freeway. And he doesn't want to do a $250,000 renovation. He wants to have a side tent SPS. It's a nice white tent. It's 30 feet long. It's 10 feet high inside. And it's, 20 feet wide. 30 by 20 by 8 feet high to 10 feet high inside. And it's got some stuff in there, and you can go in there and you can get some stuff. You can get water bottles, but you're going to have to buy a little bit more than you would in San Francisco. But you're going to get the same price per unit. It doesn't matter where you are. It's a planetary small system that we can make together. We can find these niches. And it's a language. And we all speak the same language. So, I'm glad to share this tape with you. I hope you have fun with this. I hope you're like me, where you could just, actually make this. Like, I can make this system, globally. I can think of where it is, where something is, what place it is, what function it is, how to profit enough to justify having that outpost type station. Because the side tent on the old gas station is like an outpost. It's like a form of it. And, the main city is like the mother city. It's always like a mother city and satellites, like in Mars. It's the Acopon base and all of the small outposts around it in the rurals of Mars. So, the SPS, finally, what I want to say after this is about an hour, is I think it has to be strict. Like, it has to be great, and something that's great is strict. And it has to be disciplined, has to have each little attribute very strictly, like the moving around, and the loading, and the loading and the unloading, and helping someone load. And, maybe the books, or maybe some other thing, the cubbies, the carts, the stacking floor to ceiling in smaller spaces, the money savings for the outposts, the type of outposts that we build. It's strict. Well, it doesn't work that way, because that's not a gas station. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't work that way. It has to work this way in SPS, and we all do it the same. So, you see what I'm saying? It has to be very strict. I think that's enough for this tape. This is 1 hour. I hope that you can see what I'm saying is there's profitability to sustain these small systems. And they're not the big behemoth systems. It's not the skyscrapers and the warehouse food stores, Walmart. We actually can create systems that, they work. And it's not Walmart, because Walmart's 2 hours away. Or, that's just in that instance, in that particular rural instance. But there's things inside the city, is what I'm going to say next. And I'm going to close off this tape. Inside the cities where we live, we say, well, we're going to Walmart. Obviously, the price is like half the price there. Walmart is like the savior of the lower incomes in the United States. I think Walmart should be in every country because, well, they're like the king of the poor. You can get a particular can of canned food literally for like 40 cents less than another canned food that costs $1.25 in another store. They break down below the dollar barrier in their canned goods sometimes. Walmart is way over the top great. So, the Planetary Smalls System, well, maybe not in the city, but I say it can be in the city still. It could still be in the city coexisting with Walmart. We just have to figure it out. They actually do it in the Hispanic communities. And I'm not going to take a long time saying this particular one. They're able to create food services in the Hispanic communities. It's not like a Chinatown, but it's kind of near to it, but it's a lot bigger in the Hispanic community. It could be up to like 5 miles down the street and then like 4 miles, east and west, and 5 miles north and south. Quite big, bigger than a Chinatown. And you go through, and then all of a sudden you see, well, that's a truck. That's a food truck. Well, that's a trailer with, like, food produce, and it's, in July. Well, there's another food truck. That's a Hispanic grocery store, and the store isn't even that big. It's like an old store, like a candy store. And you walk in, and you're buying food products out of there, and the prices are pretty good. How do they do it? How do they do it? Because there's Walmart, and Walmart can sell everything cheaper than everybody, but they have it in the Hispanic district. So we just analyze, like a Hispanic district, how they can sell food products all throughout the sector, and it's Walmart. It's Walmart down the street, and you still buy from these people. It can be in the city, is what I'm saying. SPS can be where there's something affordable and it's beneficial, and, well, maybe we don't want to drive, all the way down this street, like 5 miles, and it's right here. It's like a convenience store principle. You can walk into a 7-Eleven and buy, like I said, Twinkies or Hostess cupcakes, and you can buy a soda. It'll cost you, a few dollars and stuff. But if you go to Walmart, you can buy boxes of the stuff, and it's like, well, per unit and per soda and per cupcake, well, it's probably half the price. But you'll buy it because it's convenient, it's closer, it's right in front of you. You can just grab it and go. Well, this is a principle in SPS, but it's just a little bit different. We have to figure these things out. If there's no place for something, don't force it, though. Like the SPS doesn't belong there. Until we have a great innovation of thought. And then we all agree upon it. We say, that's great. That particular food truck is placed in an area where there's kind of really no restaurants. It's a little close to the harbor. There's no restaurants until we get right into the harbor. Perfect spot. It's a food truck. Things like that can be this Planetary Smalls System, where you're driving through, big places, downtown, there's big stores. You're looking right and left, there's big this, big that, But you can try things, you can invent things in SPS, like there's no fast food in the metros because, well, they don't make a lot of money in those restaurants. And the metro rents, well, it's incredible. Thousands of dollars for a small store on the downtown street where all the skyscrapers are and the neon lights are at night. You don't see McDonald's. These are things we study in the SPS then. You don't see a McDonald's, but I know that only like 2 miles south of the metro, along the Harbor District, there's a McDonald's. It's the first McDonald's that you can find. And well, sometimes the prices are a little high at that particular McDonald's, but you still get the Big Mac meal. You can't get it downtown. But the rent of the plot of land where that McDonald's is has entered into the Harbor District, and by a road that goes past like some factories and old houses and stuff. And it's a nice plot of land, but it's a McDonald's there. And it's a newer McDonald's, and it looks real nice in that area. But the rent per square foot is probably like 1/3 of a fancy store downtown. There's no McDonald's, there's no Burger King, there's no Taco Bell in our downtown area. Nothing. Because those are $5, $6, $7 meals. You can't pay the rent downtown with fast food. But what if we had some type of a system, and you're downtown and you turn right, and you step up to somebody and they have like well, it's a food cart, but it's a little bit better looking because they don't like food carts downtown either. They like you to go to the expensive restaurants. Well, it's an Irish restaurant. It's a pub. Wow, beautiful wooden green windows, glass. You step inside and you're spending, $30 for a meal. And it is very nice. Well, you don't want to step outside the Irish restaurant and see a guy with a food cart. And he reaches inside and he has the ability to make you tacos. Or he has the ability to take hamburgers that are like heated, but they were cooked in, earlier in the day or something like that. And they're kind of like in a warming device. And he puts the hamburger on the bread, and you can put your ketchup and onions and pickles on it. And you're walking away with a hamburger down the street. Well, they don't really do that much of that in America. We have some pretty clean and sharp downtown areas, high-class restaurants in our downtown areas. It doesn't have food carts. But if you go to these cities, you'll find it in the big cities like New York City. There's a food cart downtown. But if you go right to the core center where the skyscrapers are and the high-class restaurants, the museums, well, they don't have that many food carts. Maybe one. Well, they allow a food cart in the cement area where there's all this artwork in front of the museum, and you can buy a hot dog there. That's how it is in our downtown. Well, there's a hot dog guy in the middle of downtown, but there's only one hot dog guy. I don't know how he got that spot. One day I walked up to him. Because I like to meet people, And I said, this is amazing. You're the only food cart in the whole city. And look at these cement walls above us going up hundreds of feet. These are skyscrapers. And you have a hot dog cart here. And I looked around and there's no hot dog carts for like 2 miles, both directions. So this guy's kind of fortunate. Actually, he's an older gentleman that's kind of dressed nice, and he's in his 40s. And he can spend his entire day downtown selling hot dogs. It's amazing. Like, I don't know, I think he supports himself and he has a house from it. Because it's $3 hot dogs, and he's just, wow, he's handing them out one after another because it's the only food source outdoors in the whole city. And there's people constantly by his hot dog cart waiting in line. He's real fast. Ask them what they need. $3. Well, he's got some water bottles. He's got this or that. It's a $5 sale, It's not a lot of money. $5, $6. But it's a lot of people. Let's say he ends up selling to 200 people. That's a lot of money. That's $1,200 for a little hot dog cart. But we don't have 12 hot dog carts. We don't have 20 hot dog carts. We have one. But he makes $1,200 per day. His investment in the materials might only be like $200 to $300. If he's making $900 a day on a hot dog cart, that guy can pay for a mortgage on a house. He can drive a car. He can support his kids, and they can go to college. Because if you're making $600-700 a day profit on a hot dog cart, well, you're making a lot of money per year. But that's only one man and one hot dog cart. The SPS system would work some type of solution. We can't do it in front of the Irish restaurant because it's $30 meals and it's a beautiful restaurant downtown. We can't do it in front of Macy's grocery store and have a hot dog cart. We can't have it there. It has to be over in this area that's real big in front of the bank. Well, it's only one hot dog cart. How do I get a hamburger downtown? Well, I like McDonald's. I like fast food. Boy, I'd like to get a hamburger, or something. These are the units of the SPS that we could all figure out globally together. Like, well, is there a possibility of us knowing something? Where there's a main drag down the downtown area, and it's, Macy's, great restaurants, full theaters, neon lights. They don't let us put hot dog carts because it's real classy. But there's a street that's off to the side, and it's only like a block away. And we build it up. And it's not the power stores, but there's smaller stuff there. There's diners, there's small businesses, there's rental car businesses on those side streets, We know about that stuff. I know where the rental car, store is. It's off to the side of the main street, downtown. There's a park there. I know about the side streets. Oh, the park. Well, we don't have a hamburger cart there. They've never had one before. But we asked the city. Well, we're working with the side streets. We don't have a hamburger cart there, a hot dog cart, because it's not a real powerful movement of hundreds of people. But there are a lot of people around there, So they say no to you at the park. But we're working at it. We're working at getting somebody fast food downtown. We haven't gotten it yet. So, I want to get fast food downtown because I like to walk downtown, but I can't get it. I can get a hot dog, a brat. I don't think he does hamburgers. I think the hot dog and the brat is preserved in his heating units with a little bit of steam throughout the day. And, he replenishes it, and it's maybe a frozen box, and he puts them in there, and he cooks them. But I wasn't seeing him cook hamburgers. But I want to get a hamburger downtown. Like, I don't want to drive 2 miles, and then it's a McDonald's down there. But that's not bad. That's not bad, 2 miles. But I want to get a hamburger right now. Where can I get it? Things like this in the SPS could cause us to think, I believe we could solve this. I believe we can get fast food in the middle of a classy downtown somehow, and we give the guy $7 or $8 for a really nice hamburger. That sounds pretty reasonable for a classy downtown purchase of fast food. Maybe some French fries. Will they let them cook French fries right on the street like that? I don't know. Could it be off to the side? It's not right on the main drag, but it's just around the corner of a building. Well, I don't know. I don't think so, because if it's Cousin Subs, which is a restaurant right on the main drag, you can't have a guy cooking French fries out on the sidewalk right next to your restaurant. You just can't have that. So, but what I've showed you is the language of SPS. This is an hour and 10 minutes. I'm showing you the language of SPS, how it thinks. It's a planetary system of smalls. There's times when it's not around mega buildings and mega stores. There's There's times when it's not around that. There's times when it is around it. But it kind of like, well, it exists everywhere. And I was trying to show you that it's not just out in the rurals or the mountains or the highways or the forest. It's not just out there. It's not just the outpost in Africa. It could be right in the center of a downtown city where there's small technologies. A small cart where you're buying products. It can be that. It just has to be put somewhere where it doesn't interfere with the big show. Or it can coexist with the big show in some tasteful manner. So this is the engineering of and the language of the SPS, which is the Smalls Planetary System. In every place, and we all know what it is globally. It's the same thing everywhere. So I hope you enjoyed this video.